Alright guys, welcome to the group. Today we're recording the first video of the funnel building lesson that I'm putting together, and today we're starting with lesson number 1. What is a funnel? Right. Real quick before we get started, a little bit about me and my agency. Up until about 2 years ago, I was a research scientist of all things. I got into internet marketing working with paintingbusinesspro.com. Where I do a lot of funnel building. I do a lot of ads. I make a lot of ads. I do analytics tracking. I do basically everything that is needed to make the company run, except for making content, right? So I'll write the copy. I do the graphic design, everything. It's just something that I accidentally fell into. Ended up really enjoying, so I started learning more about it, getting pretty good at it, and just recently, about 6 months ago, I started helping other companies outside of Painting Business Pro get started with their own online company or building their funnels, and I'm really enjoying it. It keeps me real busy, and it's so far provided me the opportunity to stay completely out of a 9-to-5 job and just kind of work remotely. My fiance and I were going to be traveling quite a bit here shortly, and so this facilitates that. All right, so now that we are past my background, let's get into what is a funnel. Right? This is a funnel that you're all familiar with or vaguely familiar with. Probably don't use it that often. It's a kitchen implement, and you're probably collecting dust somewhere in a cupboard. But this does a great job of acting as an analog to the online funnel that we're so used to hearing about and not really understanding exactly what it is, right? And I want to be honest with you, for the first 3 months that I was working with funnels, it was actually kind of tricky for me to definitively put my finger on what exactly makes a funnel different than a normal website, right? And that may be because the format of funnels is being very rapidly adopted, right? So if you're not using a funnel in your online business, you're actually behind the curve right now. But there are still a lot of companies out there that don't use funnels. They just use the traditional.com flat static website. But let's kind of go a little deeper and break down exactly how a funnel kind of structured, right? So before we do that, let's look at what a regular funnel, the one we're familiar with, actually does, right? So generally speaking, you use it to transfer liquid from one container to another container, typically with a narrow neck, and you hopefully do it without spilling everything all over the counter, without losing liquid, right? And this is a great analog for a lot of reasons, but one in particular is that is essentially what your online funnel is trying to do, except not the liquid. We're trying to move customers, we're trying to move contacts, we're trying to move money into our accounts, by way of sales, from this wide open concept of what the internet is, right? So if you think about it, I did a search just earlier today. There are 1 billion websites on the internet today, right? So 1 billion. So let's say you create one today, right? What are the odds of a person getting on the internet, finding your site, finding your product, and then buying, right? So first of all, for them to find your site, it's 1 in 1 billion, right? For them to find your product and be interested, cut that easily into about 1/3, right? And then cut that again into about 1/3, right? So the odds are really low of just a static site going up without a lot of money backing it, without a lot of money putting into advertising or a huge list, or they're endorsed by a celebrity, whatever, it's really difficult to get somebody to find your site and buy, right? That's where a funnel comes into play. So a funnel is less of a thing, less of a physical thing or a tangible object, as it is a concept, an idea, a method, and a manifestation of, honestly, pretty old sales principles, right? Pretty classic sales principles go into the idea of building a funnel. All right, and I did a search online because I was too lazy to make these graphics of how the internet depicts what a funnel is, right? And these were pretty commonly occurring formats here. You'll notice they're just a little bit different. There is one bit on here that I'm not too big a fan of, and it's the fact that they call these middle sections, or these late middle sections, conversions, right? And I'll get into that here in a little bit. But this is essentially the process that funnels outline. Okay, you build brand awareness, right? Or you allow your target customer to discover your product or service, whatever it is you're offering. Okay, this one skips this one, but then you convince that customer or that potential customer that they have a need for your product. And you notice how it gets thinner here, as funnels do, right? This kind of represents that customers are falling out of this, right? Customers are leaving this funnel because they're not qualified to move on to the next step, right? We're vetting customers as we go through, so that we're only selling to people that are actually eligible or need our product. All right, but after they realize their need, then they enter a stage of consideration. And don't worry, guys, I'm going to go into detail as to how to actually accomplish each of these stages a little later on. Okay, once they enter the consideration stage, you've actually earned the right to begin selling to them, right? By some means, which I will touch on a little later, you have earned the right to begin selling to them. And this is important. This is a very important phrase, right? Earning the right to sell to somebody. And we'll decipher as to why that is important here in a little bit. And then you have the conversion. Now, again, I mentioned that I'm not happy about the fact that they call this area conversion, where it's actually sale, right? But a sale is a conversion. But so is the transition from discovery to realization of need. So is the transition from the realization of need to consideration. And so is the transition from consideration to conversion. If you're noticing a trend, excuse me, it's whenever you move a contact deeper into the funnel from one stage of purchaser readiness or buyer readiness to the next, that's conversion, right? And we'll kind of break that down either in this video or upcoming videos. But these can all be classified as conversions. So important to realize that, especially since we're going to be talking some funnel jargon here in the upcoming videos. Okay, so let's move on. How did this work, though? I mean, this all sounds great on paper. The picture looks great, yeah, but that leaves a lot of detail out there that, you know, it leaves you wanting, right? It doesn't necessarily break down how to do this, and I think this is where a lot of people get lost. Okay, now here I've outlined the several stages with very simple goals, kind of 6-point list of how to get somebody from being unaware or out of your funnel all the way in to that last stage, if we'll revisit here, retention and advocacy. Right, those are big ones. Those are your money-making stages right there, because you can use them to turn one customer into many. Okay, now I need to point out step 1 through 3, and I put these little interchangeable arrows here for a reason. These can almost arbitrarily be changed and moved out of order, steps 1 through 3, right? In fact, I sometimes recommend developing step 3 long before step 1 and step 2, right? And here's why. Step 1 is build brand awareness, right? And you can do that via ads or content, i.e., actually, I do recommend doing this via content. So writing articles, publishing videos, doing product reviews, right? Building brand awareness. Put out stuff that's easy for people to consume, and that's so important too. You have to create content. For instance, when I write articles, I don't use a lot of big words. I don't use densely packed paragraphs. I use very simple concepts, short paragraphs, 1 to 2 sentences, easy to deliver message. I segment information as much as I possibly can, so into lists, because people love lists. People can gather a lot of information from bulleted lists or numbered lists. Or make videos. Videos are easy to consume. Some people don't prefer to consume information via videos because there is a definite acceleration constraint, right? So you're watching the video, and you go along one bit of information for every moment, whereas when you're reading, you kind of skim. So if you're doing video publication, I honestly recommend doing a side-by-side article, and for articles, I recommend doing side-by-side videos, if you have the time, if you have the equipment. But when you get to build credibility, this is where you kind of prove people that you know how to do things and that you are an expert of sorts, right? And we'll jump into that here in a sec, what I mean by experts. And if anybody's read Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson, I highly recommend it. It's really good, and it will go into great detail as to how you are already an expert. But we'll touch on that here in a sec. Step 3, develop a valuable service for trade. Now, too often, I see people get into ClickFunnels, and they have no valuable service for trade, right? Or a product. They have nothing. They just want to get out there and affiliate market. And their question is, how do I build an audience so that I can be an affiliate marketer? And I'm like, man, you're trying to fly before you learn how to walk, or before you learn how to crawl. That's the wrong way. Typically speaking, you can't get online and become famous or become popular for nothing, right? It's going to take talent, it's going to take time, it's going to take money. Maybe one of those can be taken off the list, right? So if you have a lot of talent and money, you can take time off the list. If you have a lot of talent and time but no money, you can probably get away with it. Or if you have a lot of money and time, you can probably get away with it with no talent. Does that make sense? But I see also a lot of people concerned about the idea that they have to create a product, or they have to have a product for sale, or they have to have a valuable service for trade, because a lot of people get online and they sell informational products. This is actually a big trend right now. People are all about the 3 big niches right now, or like the macro niches, as I call them. Health, wealth, and relationships, right? Those are the 3 macro niches right there. Almost every very accomplished online entrepreneur hits somewhere within those 3: health, wealth, or relationships, because that's what people pay for. Right? So people are concerned often that they don't have a valuable service for trade because they think they're not an expert, where in actuality, you are probably an expert in something, right? You've been on this earth for 20, 30, 40 years, however long you've been here, right? You have been doing something for that length of time. Now, it doesn't take long to become an expert at something. It just takes repetition. So unless you've been sitting on a couch doing nothing, I mean, odds are you're an expert at something, right? And even if you were sitting on the couch watching TV for 30 years, you're probably really good at breaking down TV shows, or talking about TV shows, or understanding entertainment, knowing actors and actresses. You know what I mean? You can be an expert at anything as long as you put in the time to do it, time and effort to do it. So yeah, that's just my little rant there. Don't fall into the trap of getting online and wanting to build something from absolutely nothing. You can get online and build something from very little, but when you're working with absolutely nothing, that's a tough sell right there. Targeted marketing, right? This is for the purpose of building a list, right? This is when you run ads to your site and you have a valuable service established and you have what's called a lead magnet established, and we can go into more detail on that. I'll even show you guys a video as to how to make a lead magnet. But yeah, we'll touch on that in another video. But basically, you run ads, or you tap a network, or you advertise to a network that you have this product for sale, or you have this information available, and you get people to your site and you get them to sign up for an email list, or you get them to join your Facebook group, or you get them to follow you on Instagram, and in exchange for that, you give them information. You give them valuable information, and it has to be valuable. It can't be worthless. And then you begin what's called the indoctrination process. Right? You start showing these people that what you have to say and what you want to do is valuable. Once you've accomplished that in step 4, then you move on to step 5, and you do super targeted marketing. This is where you're selling specifically to the people who have already engaged in your stuff. They've signed up for an email list, or they've subscribed to you on Facebook. And they're, sorry about that. Phone never stops blowing up. And they're in your funnel. They are officially in your funnel, right? And if done right, you can then convert them to a sale. And if they're happy with that product, they'll tell their friends about it. They'll share it on Facebook. If you structure your funnel correctly, you'll have an easy one-click social share, right? And they can share what they just did to the world, and then one sale becomes, 400 impressions. It's so simple. It's so cool if you figure out how to do this correctly, all right? So it helps to know. Well, it helps in the process of knowing what a funnel is, to know how this is different from the traditional website. Okay, and to explain that, we're going to compare the old versus the new. So the old being the traditional website structure, a static website, and the new being funnels, right? As we've been hearing so much about these days, that you've at least heard whispers of it, right? And to kind of bring up an analogy to the old method of selling online, the .coms that we were so familiar with, that got big in the late 90s, early 2000s. I want you to think about a car salesman at a dealership, right? What was that like? Odds are it was simple, straightforward, and annoying as hell. And the moment you walked onto that car lot, you start getting sold to, right? And it's probably a guy sitting 200 feet from you, or across the parking lot behind some tinted windows with a bad mustache, and he comes out of his office when he sees you, and he calls out to all his coworkers, "Dibs! I'm going to sell this guy on a car," right? And he walks out the building with that mentality, and he walks up to you and he asks you how you're doing, introduces himself, and immediately starts to sell you. And before you even had the opportunity to express what you really want, what you're really looking for, or to get to know this person, this guy wants you to start test driving things and start thinking about, signing away on a contract that's going to cost you 5 years to pay off, right? Trust me, I know this because I used to work at car dealerships, and I saw this all the time. People were money hungry. They were really bad salesmen, and I mean really bad salesmen. And the only reason they made a living is because the amount of places you can go to buy a car are actually pretty limited. All right, so a conversation would kind of go like, "Oh, hey, how are you? My name's so and so. What are you here looking for? Well, why don't we go on a test drive?" Right, and the moment the test drive's done, like, "Okay, you want to go sit down and do paperwork?" Right? That's really abrasive. That's what it's like being sold to right away. Right? Now imagine if it were a little different. Imagine if it were just a little bit different. If when a salesman walked up to you, right, he didn't try and sell you on a car. He didn't try and sell you on whatever his product was. He talked about anything except for automotives. He asked you, "Hey, how are you doing? My name's so and so. You had a good morning." So you're driving an SUV. Do you have kids? Oh, that's awesome. I have kids. You know, I got 3 kids. My oldest is 11, going into 4th grade. Right? Oh God, I don't even know if that's actually the right grade. But yeah, I don't have children. I'm just throwing that out as an example. And then after you've had a conversation for a while, then he kind of asks you, you know, what are you here looking for? Right? And then you tell him that you're looking for an SUV, and the salesman says, you know, well, what happens? What would happen if we got into this car and we drove it and you absolutely hated it? Naturally, you would respond, well, I'm not going to buy that car. And he says, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, that's fine. Now, what happens we if we got into this car and you absolutely loved it? Like, you're smiling ear to ear, you enjoy the way it drives, everything, the accessories are right, it's the perfect car for you. Would you be willing to sit down and look at some paperwork? And naturally, anybody who's serious about buying a car would probably say, yeah, I'd be willing to sit down and look at some paperwork if all those conditions were met. And the difference in those exchanges there, and I know this seems like we're getting off topic here, but the difference in those exchanges there is that the salesman sets the expectation that, okay, there will be a point in which we will have to talk numbers, but first let's worry about addressing your needs. All right, and if a customer agrees to talking sales, agrees to be pitched to, then that salesman has earned the right to sell them a vehicle. All right, and we mentioned that a little earlier. Okay, as far as the classical static site structure goes, this is pretty much it. Right, so we'll show you here. We'll walk through this. Ads will direct people to a home page, which will advertise products, which will take them to the checkout. That is essentially the business plan of an old school static website, right? But this doesn't work anymore, at least not as well as it used to. This used to be all the rage. This used to be $1 million. If you could afford the $25,000 for a web developer to build you a site like this, because back in the day you had to have a software engineer building websites because nobody knew how to do it, this would make you $1 million, easy, right? And these side pages, green one, the contact us and about us, these are like antiquated formalities that no one ever used unless they had a complaint or wanted a refund, right? So that's pretty much the old website structure. And now that we've done that, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the new. And in classic form, we're going to compare this to an analogous real life form, right? So a tangible something that we can all relate to. And for this, I want you to think about somebody that you just met and that you're kind of interested in, and you want to impress enough to ask for their number so that you can take them out on a date, right? Think back when you've been in a situation like that. What was it like? You're probably jittery. You were pretty cautious, right? You try to give as many reasons as you could, you know, or that you could actually articulate for the person not to leave. You try to make yourself seem interesting. All right, sometimes you would exchange something for their company at the time. Hey, let me buy you a drink, right? 2 outcomes come of this interaction. Absolutely nothing, or play your cards right, you get a phone number and a potential date later on. The big thing is here, though, you agree to communicate, which is one of the biggest steps towards earning the right to sell something to somebody. Okay, and this is how funnels work. They're all working so that the front end section of a funnel, or the early stages of a funnel, are working towards an agreement to communicate. Once you sign that agreement to communicate by way of inputting your email address, then you are in their funnel. You've agreed to communicate for the time being. Okay, so it's a conversion at that point. So what does this look like with web structure? Well, I kept the old shapes there and old colors there for a reason, so that we knew exactly where we were. But we can kind of we change some of the titles, and we can kind of go through those. First thing, you'll notice stark difference. There's a lot more arrows, and they point in a lot more directions, right? Also, if you look at the ads, it's no longer just ads. It's ads, groups, followers, channels, right? And those don't only go to the landing pages, they go to articles and videos, which also go to the landing page, right? And a landing page is something we'll cover in great detail in a later video. I might just do that video tomorrow because move you guys along, get you guys building your funnels. Articles and videos will direct to a landing page. Ads, groups, followers, and channels will direct to a landing page. The thank you page will direct towards ads, groups, followers, and channels, right? If you'll notice on here, though, there's no mention of sale, right? There's no mention of sale whatsoever, okay? Because this is the early stages of a funnel, right? What you have on the landing page is a free offer, a free informational offer, where somebody signs up for something in exchange for their email address. You send it to them. They get sent to a thank you page while simultaneously going into an email sequence. And that thank you page redirects them to do a social share and join groups or watch videos on channels or read articles, right? So everything kind of feeds into other elements, so that you're always propagating your brand, right? You're always moving towards a sale, but you're never rushing it, right? This is that meeting that person that you want to take out on a date. You're not rushing it. You're giving them something in exchange for their email address so that you can talk to them later on, right? Well, at the same time, you're asking that they, and sometimes people incentivize this thank you page step. So save 25% off your next purchase if you share this page with your friends on Facebook, something like that, or if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, or if you subscribe to our blog or whatever, right? You're always growing your following, right? Because we in funnels, we don't expect a one transaction and we're done with you kind of thing. I got your money, you're done. No, we want to turn people into multi-buyers. We want to turn people into people that buy for life, right? And that anytime you launch a product, they'll be your number one protagonist, and they'll tell their friends about it, and they'll be first in line to buy it, right? If you do a proper indoctrination series, which we'll cover in another video, that's something that you can accomplish. Okay, so how do all those elements kind of fit into the funnel aspect? Like, where in relation to one another do they fit? Well, I put this little graphic here together so you can kind of see. All right, contact us. Not terribly important. That just kind of goes along the entire thing, right? It's good to have a contact us available just in case people do need to reach out to you. It's kind of the expectation these days, right? That someone can get in touch with the leader of a very successful company, right? The internet has brought us all together. Why should these company CEOs be so apart from everybody else? They're not that special. They just had a good idea at the right time, right? And making yourself available to customers who want to contact you actually makes a big difference. Though it's not part of the funnel, it's part of the entire process. Okay? All right, so the funnel starts off really broad, really wide. You have articles and videos for anyone to see, not necessarily people that have subscribed to you or anything. But you have ads, building up your groups, followers, channels, right? You eventually, hopefully, move them towards a landing page, and they're still kind of halfway in between the discovery and the realization of need, right? And there's a reason why I overlapped it. It's because they are not in either one category at that point in time, but they are in both simultaneously. Landing page leading to a lead magnet. All right, this is where they're at the realization of need. All right, now they're at the email sequence. After they fill out the lead magnet, a conversion happens. They get into the email sequence. Right, you can direct them to more articles and videos. Helps propagate your message, helps indoctrinate, provides free value, and then hopefully, if you've done your email sequence correctly, you can move on to the sales page. All right, and then this doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out process. It could be anywhere from a few days to several weeks. I don't recommend going beyond several weeks, because after that point, people are just kind of losing interest. All the while, though, and I should have added this in there, all the while, you should have retargeting ads, probably right around here in the consideration, right? Retargeting ads, and we'll get into how to build retargeting sequences in another video. That's a deep topic. But once you get them through to the sales page and they buy and they convert, then you need to under promise and over deliver to get them to refer other buyers. Now, what I mean by that, let's say you run a weight loss program online that promises you will lose 10 pounds in 4 weeks, right? But you kind of undersell that. You know that your product is awesome, and that if people adhere to it, they're going to lose way more than 10 pounds, right? Now, let's say a customer purchases that lose 10 pounds in 4 weeks, right? And then they lose 15 pounds, okay? And then at that point, because you've underpromised and over-delivered, you have the right to offer them the next tier of product, right? Saying, if you like my last product, if you like my lose 10 pounds in 4 weeks product, then here's my lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks product. Try this out. And you know what your customer's thinking? Well, I planned on losing 10 pounds last time, and I ended up losing 15 pounds. If this one promises 20 pounds, then I'm going to lose at least 25 pounds. Right? And then they're going crazy over the results, and people are asking about the results because people notice when you lose 10 pounds. They're telling them about your program. They're saying, you need to check this out. You're an idiot if you don't. Right? So not only are these people buying more products from you, but they're referring other people to you. Right? This is all part of the sales process and all part of the funnel process. And I can't overemphasize any of these phases. Like, they're so important, all of them. It would seem like these two, the sales page and the refer other buyers, would be the most important. But in actuality, all these are important. Every last step of a funnel is important. You don't just have a website where people come to you and buy things and you just kind of set it and forget it, and as long as your website's bringing in more money than it's losing, then you just kind of let it be. No, a funnel does not focus on the product. A funnel focuses on the experience. The product is more of a consequential portion of the funnel, right? But a funnel guides a person that would be out here not knowing about your product, guides them towards a solution to a problem that they didn't realize they had. Or if they did realize they had it, they didn't realize what the answer was or how simple the solution could be, right? And how to do that, we'll talk about that here in the upcoming videos. How to write compelling copy, how to structure your funnels so that the user experience is great and it feels personalized, and the product feels personal as well. Okay, because those are going to be some key factors in the success of building it, affecting the success of your funnel building. But all right, guys, that covers pretty much what a funnel is. If you have any questions, post them on the Facebook group page, and we'll discuss it. Right? I'll try and get another video up here in a couple days. Post topics that you want covered, and I'll make sure to prioritize those. Okay. But yeah, anyways, if you haven't signed up for ClickFunnels, guys, to kind of support this page and what I'm going to be doing here, because this does take time. It takes a couple hours out of the day for me to compile these PowerPoints and then make the video. If you don't already have a ClickFunnels, I request that you sign up for ClickFunnels using my affiliate link. That's going to be linked in the members area. If you're watching from YouTube, this is going to be linked in the description. And there will be other resources in there. I forgot my list of what I'm going to be putting in there, but it's going to be good stuff. Make sure you check them out. Anyways, yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and hope to see you guys soon. Bye.